Hello, and welcome to another edition of Day Drinking with Kevin. I'm your host, Kevin McGuire. When you talk about bubbly personalities on the internet, you don't have to go any further than Marcia McColl. She is the owner and proprietor of Bubbles and Bourbon. She started out as a wine and spirit educator and now has her own clothing and jewelry line and a relationship with One Hope Winery. I can't wait to hear what she has to say. Marcia, thank you so much for joining me today and my fellow day drinkers out there. When
Thank
I
you.
started this YouTube channel, I was looking for charismatic personalities and people with a lot of enthusiasm about wine and spirits to come on and talk to my friends and to the people who watch the show. And one of the number one people on my list was you, because I have been following you on the internet for quite a while now, and I thought I have to
Oh,
be able to
there.
talk to her and have her share that passion and enthusiasm with my audience. So thank you so much for being
Thank
here
you
today.
so much, Kevin, for having me. It's absolutely a treat and a pleasure to always come on and share my story. I love day drinking. It's like one of my favorite sports. So,
Absolutely.
see, I was trying to decide, I was like, are we drinking today? So I didn't pour myself anything, but I should have. But oh well, it's always happy hour somewhere. What are you drinking today?
This is actually a New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc called Little Sheep, which it was just something light and crisp. It's really hot outside today, and I thought, something to just kind of take the edge off of it was a good way to go.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
so looking
nice.
forward to the spring, and all the nice weather. And rosé weather's coming up now.
Yes, rose season. That's why I kind of went a little pink today. I was like, I'm feeling the rose season coming. It's right around the corner. It's spring. It's time to pop and sip in the spring and sip lovely.
So you are the owner of Bubbles and Bourbon, this brand. It's a wine and spirit consulting
It's
business.
an
Um,
experience.
yeah. So how did you get started with
So I got started about 4 years ago.
that?
I was bit by the wine bug, needless to say. So I was a restaurant manager on Capitol Hill,
Mm-hmm.
and it became a requirement to learn more about wine in order to, work more on the floor, work the evening shifts. They need someone knowledgeable in wine. So at that time, I really didn't have any knowledge of wine. I drank it and I liked it, but I
Sure.
didn't know the science of it all. And I started taking classes at Capital Wine School. And my first class was the intro to wine. And, there was, I think, 12 wines we tried that night. And,
Mm-hmm.
at the end, I was just like, and you just hear the story of how it's made and then, the proper way to serve wine and how to store it. And then, seasons has things to do with it too. And then instantly I was like, I got to learn more. So from there, I started taking my WSET.
Mm-hmm.
I completed level 2 now, so it's like I was like a soil nerd at first. So I was like looking at dirt because I learned about sustainable wine and how soil has so much of an impact into wine. I was just nerding out. And so in the beginning, I wanted to go for the master's course of some, but then
Mm-hmm.
I saw the WSET, the Wine and Spirit Education Trust Program. And I just got a little overwhelmed, going for the master's som, right? Way of passage. And my friend said, why don't you focus on your favorites? And that is bubbles, sparkling wine, and bourbon. So that's how the name came about, Bubbles and Bourbon. And I've just kind of been riding with it since then. I'm also bourbon certified because I'm like, since I have this brand, Bubbles and Bourbon, I need to know all things sparkling wine, all things bourbon. So I joined the Bourbon Women Association in the DC area. And, they had an opportunity to go to Moonshine University online, and I took my class and self-study class, and I am officially a bourbon steward as well. So I became a nerd.
Fantastic.
That's what it comes down to. I was like, I'm so interested in what I'm drinking.
But that's the best part about wine and spirits is there's always so much to learn, and
So much.
you'll never stop learning.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because wine is ever changing. You have orange wine that's new craze now. You
Mhm.
have sustainable wines. Some people have been doing a lot of blue colored wines. So I mean, it just never ends. Wine is always going to be going as long as we have this earth and soil growing and the world turning around. We will be growing grapes.
Absolutely. I have a champagne refrigerator over here off camera, and in it there's probably 200 bottles of different sparkling wines and things
Wow, wow.
and so there's never a bad opportunity to drink sparkling wine.
Not at all. I'm waiting for it. So I'm trying to be good this week. I mean, I normally drink to every occasion. And when I
Mhm.
say drink to every occasion, I mean every day. Hey, you woke up today. Let's have a glass.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to be really good and save this bottle of sparkling I just picked up. I think it was like Monday or something for an
Mhm.
actual special occasion. I have a lot of things that I'm working on. And
Mhm.
I'm just waiting for that final moment of it all getting figured out, and then I'm gonna pop it. But I can't keep over 200 bottles of anything, especially with the pandemic and you quarantine for 2 weeks to a year. It's just all gone. It's all gone.
One of my favorite activities with sparkling wine is savoring them.
I know
Um,
you taught me how to do that.
I
That's
know, I
probably
know.
yes, it was so much fun. I mean, savoring in the alley of Capital Wine School was probably one of my top favorite moments of working there.
I still have that video, and
Same here.
I have this one tree outside that we always aim towards, and I've
Mhm.
never cleared one of the corks that has flown out towards that tree. That's
Mhm.
just kind of the remembrance of all the good times
Oh,
that
I
we had as
love
well.
that.
I think.
That's an amazing idea.
Yeah, yeah. And I actually had a really good friend of mine who got a saber for her birthday. Her
Mhm.
husband was actually in Iraq, and he called me and wanted to buy a saber for her and everything like that from Iraq. I was getting phone calls like, "Oh my gosh, this is crazy!" And the very first time she used it, and this happens less than 1% of the time, she sabered off the top, and the bottle exploded, and
Woo!
they were filming her in slow motion, and you could actually
Oh
see
wow.
all the bubbles just kind of drench all over her and
Oh
everything.
my god.
The most amazing part of it was that she was smiling and having a good time the whole time.
Yeah. I'm
If
sure
you,
visually it was stunning
yes,
in slow motion, but probably like the accident of it all, the getting covered in sticky, bubbly wine afterwards, there might be a little regret.
if you had slow motion videoed me, you would have probably seen some words that would have made a sailor blush. So
Right? Oh my goodness.
So for your customers, as a wine and spirits consultant, I'm guessing you do things like bourbon tastings and
I
wine tastings. I've seen a number of those, and education classes. What other
Yep.
kinds of services do you provide for your customers at Bubbles and Bourbon?
So I can curate a wine list for you. I also do consultations if you are a new wine drinker and you're just kind of wondering I ask about your palate and what type of do you like savory or sweet more. Like I kind of curate a wine intro recommendation for you as well.
Mhm.
I also have a jewelry line boutique line. I have the necklace here on Etsy. I also have like a clothing line too. So Bubbles and Bourbon is an entire experience. Like I can do it all. I do food and wine pairings, bourbon and food pairings. I do enjoy teaching about it as well. Like I like nerd out when it comes to doing PowerPoint presentations.
Uh,
So it's a whole educational experience. You'll always have fun in every soiree. You'll always do something new. I mean, I just have a good time and I let my hair down and be myself. And you like might catch me just giggling at myself, or I'll sing a song too, opening up a bottle of wine. But it is an entire experience, and I'm just happy to be able to share my story and my journey along with everyone and to touch so many people. And now I sell wine directly. So if you are looking to purchase wine, I can curate a wine list for you and try one Hope wine. I am the lead cost entrepreneur for there, and we do virtual tastings. We also offer sample packs too, if you want to do like a small like introduction to wine. We do personalized sketch sparkling bottles, like if you have a special occasion, like you just bought a home, if you're getting married, baby showers, birthday, you know, we can etch on the glass, I mean, the bottle for you, happy birthday or whatever occasion you have. So the great thing about One Hope Wine, all the bottles goes to a great cause. So it's like as far as heart disease, we help that. The environment was April, so it's like a giving month. So we're focused on the environment and also autism awareness.
Yes, I was actually involved in one of the One Hope Wine presentations about, I guess, February, or right as the pandemic was kind of getting started. And they raised a lot of money at the charity fundraiser, and I was so excited to be a part of that. And the great news is that the wines are very, very good. I enjoyed all the ones that I got to taste. So I will make
Yeah,
sure to put that information across the bottom of
awesome.
this
And our
video. So,
winemaker is also
yeah,
yeah, and our winemaker is also a woman. And then you know Robert Mondavi, he has his hands a little bit on the red wine, so it is exceptionally well made wine.
fantastic.
It's
And
an easy link. It's Bubbles and Bourbon, so everything is Bubbles and Bourbon, but we'll put it in the link too.
absolutely. And for people that are interested in learning more about bourbon, it's not something that I think more people get maybe exposed to wine, and then bourbon is kind of a taste that's acquired a little bit. Um, how do you start somebody with a bourbon tasting if they have never tried bourbon before? How do you start that?
I always introduce them to a bourbon first instead of like a blended whiskey, you know,
Okay.
like a Scotch or Irish whiskey. So I particularly love bourbon more because it's sweeter.
Okay.
So if you start with like a Tennessee whiskey or a bourbon straight from Kentucky, you'll get the more of the sweetness because it has to be 51% of the corn mash if it's a bourbon, and
Mhm.
that sweetness, and it's like kind of a round chocolatey mouthfeel for me. That's my first intro. Like my favorite bourbon is 1792. That was my first intro to bourbon. If you want to like kind of get into the blended style of it or do a whiskey, I would recommend Tennessee whiskey because in the end of the filtration process, they filter it through a maple sorry, not maple syrup, maple oak.
Mhm.
So that gives it the sweetness too. But yeah, I just always started slow, go with one of a bourbon because it's a little bit sweeter. And then we go into the easier Irish whiskeys or like a bourbon whiskey. Never start off with Scotch. Scotch is not for the weak. It always has a punch.
Yes, it does. But I think that's the benefit of bourbon is it does have that wide range of tastes that you can kind of get into and kind of get people used to. I know in the wine world, people sometimes start off with sweet wines and then maybe they go
Yeah.
to white wines and then they'll start off with maybe Pinot Noirs or something,
Yep.
low tannin and then work their way up to Nebbiolo or
Exactly.
Petit Syrah or something.
Exactly.
And I'm guessing it's the same way with bourbons
Yep.
and whiskeys and
It is
things. So.
exactly the same way. Just start off with a bourbon, not a blended one, just straight up bourbon. And then you move your way through the tasting soiree.
Fantastic. Well, and day drinkers out there, I hope you see what I'm talking about when it comes to why I wanted Marcia to be on the show today, because she is so passionate about everything. She was just saying, how she has fun every day. You and I have known each other for a while now, and I can't imagine you ever not getting up with a smile on your face
Oh, thank you.
and just enjoying life, and that's a good way to
Yeah,
live your
we
life
have
for
to. I mean,
sure.
life is short. We're still in the pandemic. You just have to take every day as a blessing and be grateful. Like you can always find something to be grateful for in 24 hours in a whole day. So I try to just live off of that as my mantra, find some gratitude and just focus on the good instead of always focusing on the bad. Because you can turn on the news and just go down a rabbit hole of bad things. But if you take a moment, meditate, take deep breath in and out, there's always something good to be thankful for.
So, in addition to helping people build their wine lists and the classes and the things that you do, have you ever helped people maybe fill their cellar with wines and help
I
them
have
start a
not.
cellar collection?
I have not done that yet, but
Mhm.
I'm open and available to the challenge.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I like doing particularly because you get to know the person, you get to know their palate, their tastes, and inevitably they always come up with some story about a trip they took to Italy or to
Yeah.
Spain, and that one bottle that was that magical moment.
Mhm.
Um, was has there ever been one of those magical bottles or magical wine or spirit experiences that you've had that you'd like to share with my listeners?
Yes, of course. I mean, I would say that magical wine moment happened to me when I experienced it was an Argentinian Malbec. To
Okay.
this day, I've tried my hardest to research and find this wine, but I just remember that having that Malbec for the first time where I was like studying and I was like really dissecting the wine, it was that moment there that I figured out a red wine drinker. I know that I like fruit forward wines. I know that I can deal with like kind of medium talents, tannins, and everything like that. So that was like my first kind of intro to red wines. And then now I'm a big cab Bordeaux drinker. I'm just like, I like a BBW, as I always say, a big bold wine. So my
Mm-hmm.
aha wine was the Argentinian Malbec. I will always have a soft spot in my heart. And then for bourbon, it was 1792. That was one of my first bourbons that I had because my first gig I was hired to do at a private home. I got a bottle of 1792, and it was just like a magical moment of the story, if you will. You know, I just enjoy all the stories of when people first try something or they go on vacation and then they remember, like, oh, I remember, I can like see it now, I can still taste it and visualize. Like, I love seeing those stories. I mean, wine is a story. It goes through a whole journey from the growing process to the process of it getting made. It's like it has a journey. Just pop that bottle, let it breathe, and listen to what it has to say.
I saw the coolest thing the other day, and when we get done here, I'm going to send you a picture of it. It's actually a sparkling bottle of wine that has a reusable cap.
Oh,
This happens to be a sparkling New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc. And after you remove it, you can push the button back in and put it back on the bottle, and it will keep fresh the sparkling bubbles for a couple of extra days. And it
oh
is,
yeah, I definitely need
and
that.
it works on any sparkling wine bottle.
Okay.
At the restaurant, we actually sold several of the bottles. It's delicious wine, but because of the cap, and people wanted to have that reusable cap. And
Mhm.
I know in your business with all the bubbles that you do,
Yeah,
that this
I
would
need
be
it.
something that would be really cool.
Absolutely, because when you run out of stoppers, you got to get creative and just drink the whole bottle.
Absolutely. Of course, that's not a bad problem either.
It's not a bad problem to have.
Hey, so there's no question that 2020 kind of sucked for a lot of people. You know, the pandemic and being quarantined in, and businesses shutting down, restaurants shutting down, people in our industry dramatically affected. People all over the world were affected. They had the fires in Napa and
Yeah, it was
all
so
of the
much
things.
going on.
Yeah, yeah, it just hurt my
Like
heart.
left and right. It was like, oh, what's on the bingo card for today?
Yeah.
I do remember the California flat fires now that you mention it. I think that was what, around September or August or
Yeah,
something. Yeah.
yeah. And
Um,
when it comes to those things, people in our industry had to kind of readapt and reinvent themselves and pivot to new things. Um,
mhm.
I'm sure you probably haven't done as many in-person things
Yeah, I haven't
over
done
the last year.
any. Yeah, I haven't done
Um,
any. I've just been going virtually and being in the comfort of my own home and having a good time.
mhm, mhm.
Actually, you know what? I do have a gig tomorrow, so I'll have my first in-person promo tomorrow for
Fantastic,
wine.
fantastic.
We'll see how that goes. I might go back to my hiding hole and do it virtually.
Well, So you adapted through Zoom meetings and other things like that. You've got the jewelry line, and I heard you say that you're doing a clothes line now as well.
Yeah, I actually do have clothing as well. So I have my first shirt I came out with before 2020 hit. It says "Wine first, worry later."
Mm-hmm.
That was my mantra in what 2018 or something like that when I was a general manager, and
Mm-hmm.
every day was a new day. And when I say every day was a new day, it's like repairs, staff quitting, learning how to change a beer keg 24/7. My good girlfriend said, "Why isn't this a shirt?" So I just came up with the design, mine first way later, and then I just came up with other cute sayings too. So check out my Etsy account. I'll send you the link to that as well. So I'm growing it more. I just added jewelry. I have some more pieces coming. So everything wine related is and sparkly and bubbly. That's
Marcia, thank you so much for joining me today. And it is great to see you and your smiling face and your bubbly personality. And
thank
it's
you.
wonderful to hear how well you're doing with Bubbles and Bourbon and with your new jewelry line and your clothing line and your work with One Hope Winery. And I wish you all of the best. For
Thank
those
you.
day drinkers out there, consider looking at Marcia's Etsy site and also follow her on Facebook. I hope to catch up with you
Try
very,
some
very
One Cup
soon.
wine.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, Marcia, thank you so much for your time today, and
Thanks
I
for
hope we can
having
get
me.
together soon.
Me too. Cheers.
Marcia, thanks so much for taking the time to talk with me today. Your bubbly personality and passion for all things wine and spirits is absolutely evident in everything you do. Good luck in your clothing line, your jewelry line, and with your relationship with One Hope Winery. If you like this episode, please don't hesitate to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Day Drinking with Kevin. And if you have suggestions for future episodes, please don't hesitate to email me at daydrinkingwithkevin@gmail.com. Until next time, I say salute.